Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Vagrant Gaming, and this time I want to do like a sort of a public service announcement. And this is going to be about Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, the Nier Automata, Nier Automata banner. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I never had a chance to play Nier Automata. I might check that out later at some point. But I am having a lot of fun in Brave Exvius. And there's a bit of hype now that A2 and 2B are coming back and they're going to be getting their 7 stars forms. But the question is, should you be getting on this hype train, sight unseen? And well, that kind of gives it away. You don't really want to get into anything sight unseen. But let's take a quick peek at a couple of these units, and just to give you some food for thought as far as, is this something that you want to invest a lot of your time and energy in? Now, if you're a huge fan of these characters, you probably want them just to have them. To take one of your favorite characters from anywhere outside of Brave Exvius and use them in-game, it's exciting. It's perfectly understandable. However, if you're trying to build an effective team, there's a couple of things that you might want to take into consideration when you're making the decision about how much of your time, energy, and money you try to invest in getting these characters. So for example, with 2B, she's got a decent sword, a katana blade for her trust mastery, and the way her trust skill works is you're going to want to have that equipped. So, one of the best ways to deal a lot of damage in Brave Exvius is to have 2 attackers with similar attack frames, ideally identical attack frames, and you want to use elemental-based weapons so that you can use elemental chains to get your damage up as highly as possible, as quickly as possible. Now, it's a slight strike against 2B that it's a non-elemental weapon, and I only say it's a slight strike because she can dual wield. But is that all you need to take into consideration? Well, the other thing you want to think about is her attack frames. Her main combo skill is speed, which unlocks extract speed. The frames are about the same, but the point being is that there's no chaining partner for this move. So, if you're trying to take into consideration her ability to elemental chain with a partner, this is a bit of a strike against her. She does have this graviton cannon skill, but it's important to remember that it has a 4-turn cooldown and it's available on turn 4. This isn't an ability you're going to be using very often. Now she does have some pretty nice passives, and again she's dual wielding, so you can always put an elemental in her offhand, and given that she has 100% damage boost against machine monsters, she can be pretty handy with putting down any robot enemies you come across. The only other chaining ability which she can get access to here is Stardust Ray, but that as of now has no partners. And even if it did, it's important to remember that this isn't an ability you can just use every turn, it needs to be unlocked. Not to say that this is a bad character, but if you're looking to build a team based on elemental chaining, 2B might not be what you want. Her trust mastery is, it's not bad, not by any means, and her super trust mastery is pretty amazing if you mix and match weapons. Because if you have either a sword, katana, and spear equipped, one of each, of any combination from there, ideally with a katana, given you're going to need her trust master reward anyway. So if your offhand is either a sword or a spear, that means she's going to be packing on an additional 80% bonus to her attack, which is pretty impressive, and get a 50% manslayer skill. So, I apologize, man-eater. And by all means, if I mispronounce something or something I say isn't 100% correct, don't be shy about hitting it up in the comments. I do like learning, having an exchange of information back and forth with people. It's part of the fun of being part of a gaming community. So, personally, I'm not really all that excited about 2B, although she's a cool-looking character and she has some neat combat animations. Let's take a quick peek at A2. Now, her trust mastery is a 125 attack greatsword with 20% bonus to defense, and the Beast Auror's ability, it's basically a light AoE. Her super trust master reward, 80% attack boost when equipped with a greatsword. I'm using Hyo, and the thought of putting that on him is pretty tempting. But it's a big investment unless you get very, very fortunate with, say for example, if you do the step-ups for your Lapis, the odds of getting 4 of them are not very great. But if you're willing to heavily invest, there is a possibility that you could get multiple copies and get that Super Trustmaster reward. And if you do, congratulations. That's a lot of power to pack onto your Greatsword users. So, just like we talked about before though, since her Trust reward is non-elemental, you have those two considerations to keep in mind. Chaining partners and the ability to elemental chain. So let's look down at some of her abilities. Now there is some good news here, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that not only does she have double cast, but she has absolute mirror of equity. Now that's not a very large chaining family, and pretty much everybody in that chaining family is a 7-star. So if you're a relatively newer player, this won't give you too much for options. If you've been playing for a long time and you have a lot of 7-star or a lot of rainbow characters, this might work out for you. Let's take a quick peek at this family. So, we can see here, if you can get him to 7-star, Dracu Laswell, who's a limited character, he can chain with her. Machina, that person can also chain with him as well. And that's a character that's like a combination between a chainer and a breaker, so that's actually pretty cool. Pyroglacial Laswell, who's someone that I do have a couple of copies of, and I do have him at 7-star. And he has a couple of moves that he can use to chain with this, so that is kind of exciting. And as far as the consideration of elemental chaining, Pyroglacial Laswell has an imperil in his ability for wind and ice. So if you can get an offhand weapon of wind or ice onto A2, well, then you've got it. You've got your chaining partner and you've got your elemental chaining. And on that note, Dual Wield is also a passive that she gets in her 6-star form at level 77. So, if you do get A2, you can get her up 6-star level 77, she'll get Dual Wield. You can attach a weapon, an elemental weapon in her offhand, and then yeah, you'll be able to work your way up to 7-star form, level 101, and she can chain with a couple of people. Is that worth it to you? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's just something to keep in mind. Now her Trustmaster reward, which is what she gets when she equips that Trustmaster, the Beast Lord there, she does get some nice double hand abilities, but she can also dual wield, as you mentioned, as we saw before, and it'll buff her attack by 40% when she dual wields. So she does have some native passives there to help her with the dual wielding, but she also has some really nice passives if you're going to make her a double hand character. Because as you can see here, 100% attack boost and the accuracy there just from this passive, and if you equip her Trustmaster reward, 150 bonus as well. If I understand it right, the goal you want to shoot for if you're going to be double handing is 300% equipment attack, and say for example a character like he'll need to equip 2 martial gloves and say Buster style to reach that cap. A2 looks like she's ahead of the game with all these passives. It looks like you'll just need, if I'm understanding this correctly, you'll only need 50% boost, so I think with just a martial glove, that'll be all she needs to hit the cap for being a double hand attacker. But then again, if you do go for the double hand route, then unless you have someone who can imbue her with an element, her ability to elemental chain with a partner is going to be limited. So that's not to say that this is a bad character. I wouldn't be against getting a couple of copies of her, but I'm probably not going to put in that much effort to get her, because there's a couple of other things I'm a little bit more focused on. I'm pretty happy with the attackers I have right now. I was fortunate enough to get a copy of Hyo, and I do have Pyroglacial Laswell. So I'm currently using those two to chain together, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Now, I'm probably going to butcher this, because that looks like the letter O. 210. Her Trustmaster reward is something I'm really excited about. Mechanical Heart. Increases hit points and spirit by 15%, which isn't huge, but you have a 30% chance when you're hit with either magic or physical attacks to trigger Mechanical Heart, which gives you a heal. Now the heal isn't huge. It's 800 with a 1x multiplier, so not like a game-breaking heal. It's not like you're going to be healing yourself with Kiraja every time you get hit, but it can add up because it's per individual hit. So if you're using someone like Wilhelm, he's taking damage for your team and he gets hit a bunch of times. It's quite possible that he can throw multiple heals on himself after the fact, which can potentially make things a lot easier for your main healer. This also works really well for the character Basch, because he natively has a passive that he heals himself when he takes damage while he's tanking for your team. So between his native passives and Mechanical Heart, Basch can probably top himself off a fair amount of the time, which is pretty cool. So I'm really hoping to get 2 of these, and then really go all in on the raid boss to try to get those reward Moogles so that I can power those up. The other thing I'm really excited about is 9S. 9S has Pod 153. And again, with 9S and with 210, if you're newer to the game and you don't have a lot of powerful characters for your support staff, they can be very helpful. 9S even has a damage mitigation ability. Yeah, 30% damage mitigation for 3 turns. Not bad. And he's got some imperils. He's got some debuffs he can throw on, which isn't bad if you're newer to the game and you don't have a strong debuffer or a support character. But Pod 153 adds a ton of utility to your team. I really want to get 2 of these. So, Pod 153. One of the abilities is Repair. 3,000 health with a 9 times multiplier split over 3 turns. Not a huge amount of healing, but depending on the type of gameplay you're doing, you can be in a situation where every little bit counts, and having 2 separate characters that aren't per se a healer that can do that, in addition to having a healer, it can be nice. The A170 scanner increased common item drop rates. Not bad. Not really game breaking, but not bad if you're trying to find crisps or something in the vortex. That can be helpful. But some of the things I'm more excited about, AO60P shield. Mitigate physical damage taken by 40% for 2 turns to all allies. Now this is fun because that can stack with general mitigation. So, case in point, say you're using 9S. Turn 1, you use Spread Shield. 30% mitigation for 3 turns. Turn 2, 9S uses his pod. Physical mitigation, 40% for 2 turns. So if a physical attack comes at you, it's hitting both of those shields. So you're massively reducing how much damage you have coming in towards your team. And in addition, if you have someone that has a magical shield, like it mitigates magical damage, again, it would stack with in general mitigation. So this is a very nice skill that you can essentially put on anybody on your team. But there's one final skill that opens up a lot of doors to give you some room to experiment with your team compositions. RO20 Mirage. Physical damage 3 times to all enemies. 3 times multiplier. 8 hits. Now that on its face might not seem too interesting, but it has Octo-Slash frames. So, what does that mean? Well, let's take a quick peek at Octo-Slash. Now, to be fair, most of the characters on this list, with the exception of Goken, are either limited or are 7 stars. So, it's very possible that not everybody has a lot of these characters. That said, there's very possible that if you throw tickets at it, you can get 2 of these. Meaning, you could have a healer, a tank, a breaker, a support character, like your buffer. Any combination can be equipped with these. So if you wanted to, you could arrange your team so that you have 2 characters using Pod 153 for that attack skill, and then run with a finisher. So you can either have like a physical or magic finisher, well, most likely a physical finisher. Because I don't believe this can be elemental chaining, but I haven't experimented with this yet. By the time I started playing the game, I had missed the first time that Nier Automata came around. So personally, I'm really excited about trying to get a couple of these and experimenting with it. And if it does work out that you can elemental chain with them, if the weapons you have equipped factored in, that could be a lot of fun to experiment. And the other great thing about these two is, and this is just a personal observation that might not be 100% accurate, whenever we get King Mog events, those farming events where you want to try to summon certain characters for bonuses, and then you want to do the same missions over and over to build up a wealth of items so that you can exchange them for the different Mog King rewards, a lot of times the 7-star characters are really combat effective, and those 4-star base and unders a lot of times aren't really all that great as far as fighting. So if you want to make a team of just bonus units, it can be tricky. With this, it opens up some nice doors for you to be able to take a team, even if you only get 4-star base and below, equip a couple of these on, and you might have a decent shot at being able to fight your way through with a friend unit and get some nice bonus rewards stacked up very quickly. So personally, I'm more excited about the 4-star bases and under in this banner that's coming up, that's going to start tomorrow. And who knows, maybe in the course of throwing tickets around, an A2 might pop up. It's not super likely, but it is possible. Because I believe the standard rate, and I'll have to double check this, the standard rate for using a general summon ticket, it's about, I think it's like 3% to get a rainbow. So, you throw your random ticket down, 97% chance you're not seeing anything fancy. Fortunately, there's a lot of quote-unquote low-hanging fruit that I'm really excited about getting. So, that could be fun. And there's also one other minor thing I want to run by some of you. So, every now and then I'll pop onto YouTube to see, different reviews of characters and banners and stuff like that. And now this isn't to criticize anyone in particular, and it's not to insult anyone by any means, but if you're going on YouTube to check somebody out, to get some information about an upcoming banner, if for the most part all they're really doing is going to the news section and then reading almost word for word everything that's on the list, you might want to find someone else to check out. Because, in effect, they're not really doing anything that you can't do for yourself. So what you want to do is find someone that can offer you some context, that can frame it, give you some details, highlight main points. That way you know what to keep your eyes peeled for. Because honestly, checking the event and going planned events and reading it, it's not super hard, and pretty much we all can do that on our own regardless. You want to try to find someone that can take that information and make it relevant and show you what to look out for. Someone that can teach you a little bit. But that's just my 2 cents. Either way, no matter what all of you decide to do for your summons for this upcoming banner, they'll be responsible, you get what you want, and you have fun, because that's what it's all about. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.